Sorry We're Closed is the debut game from two-piece indie studio A La Mode Games, and I first covered it nearly a year ago in my holiday special, where I said this. Sorry We're Closed is one of my most anticipated games of next year. I fully believe that it'll be a home run. Now, nearly a year has passed since then, and Sorry We're Closed comes out today, or yesterday, depending on when this video actually goes live. But I've beaten it, and I've had time to sit on what my thoughts are on it. Does it live up to my expectations? Well, firstly, if you don't know, what even is Sorry We're Closed? This game is truly a fascinating little experiment. The game's elevator pitch is essentially, what if Suda51 tried his hand at making a very gay Silent Hill? In the game, you play as Michelle, a girl who is still reeling from being dumped by her girlfriend over 3 years ago as she becomes involved with a lustful and longing demon known as the Duchess, and her ever-increasing desire for you to fulfill her desires of being loved after being ripped away from the light of God himself. She places a curse upon you one night while in bed, and it's up to Michelle to figure out what exactly to do with this newfound curse and how exactly she will deal with not only the Duchess, but the people that she calls friends, new and old alike. Mechanically, Sorry We're Closed is an indie survival horror game, but one that is dripping with style, a surprisingly deep roster of characters, and a really personal story that takes a look at the very real need and desire to be loved and wanted, and mingles with that all too familiar feeling and crosses it over with some of the vibes and gameplay mechanics of classic Silent Hill. Throughout your journey in Sorry We're Closed, you'll explore several locations that have been overridden by some sort of demonic presence, and using your newly gained third eye, which is actually part of the curse being placed upon you by the Duchess, you'll be able to interact between two different realities. The normal human reality, where people are obsessed with music, TV shows, and demonology, and you'll also be overlapping with the demonic reality that the Duchess and her minions are inhabiting. What makes Sorry We're Closed stand out so much among its peers is a few things. One, the game's visual style is just off the charts. There is such a deliberate use of colors here that are designed to catch your eye, and throughout the game's short runtime, it never stopped making me pause and look around just to take it all in. Every environment, while simple in its graphical output, is complex and consistently stunning in its distinct color palette. Every character is clear and defined, and everyone exudes their own personality within their own little 3D model as well as their own character portrait. The overt sexual overtones, while not really my thing as someone who is technically asexual, really helps add to this game's distinct sense of identity. It also has Mimi.
Oh, that's my girl right there!
The second thing is, mechanically, Sorry We're Closed is perfectly divided into the old and new. The old comes in the form of its very classic fixed camera and optional tank controls and limited supplies. But the new is where this game really shines. It adds a central core mechanic within the reality traversal with your third eye, but it is simultaneously both a combat and puzzle mechanic all wrapped up in one little bow. If you are just attacking enemies with either a gun or your melee weapon, then you'll do very minimal damage to enemies. But if you decide to push your luck and use your third eye, creating a small bubble of overlapping realities, then you'll not only briefly stun enemies in your immediate vicinity, but you'll open up the enemy's weak point. If you shoot anywhere other than that weak point, you will deal 0 damage, but if you hit a perpetually changing weak point, then you not only deal massive damage, but you also help charge up your super damage rifle, the Heartbreaker, which is mainly used to kill bosses, but can also be used at any enemy to instantly kill them. For puzzles, the overlapping reality system can be used to uncover secrets or reveal hidden information. But one of the key gameplay segments that Sorry We're Closed adds is a whole sim element, very much akin to something like Persona, where in between normal horror segments of the game, you go back to town and interact with a vast cast of characters and decide to either help them, sabotage them, or potentially rewrite history itself by completing certain side quests. The characters are all very well established and diverse, and you get to interact with them in a variety of ways. Several characters you interact with ask you for favors throughout the game, and depending on your actions, you can either betray their trust or gain it completely, which will affect your ending of the game. And that leads into the third thing, which is this game's writing, which, while occasionally leaning into a little bit cheesy, or on the nose, or outright, a little bit cringy here and there, is also one of the biggest highlights of the game. And arguably, because of its emphasis on this bonding system, it's arguably the most impressive highlight in the end of it all, because to be honest, the thing that makes this really stand out as a feature of the game is one thing. My time with the demo about a year ago did not really prepare me for how much of this game was dialogue and character driven. It is a significant portion of the time spent with Sorry We're Closed, and I think that a game with a less talented writer would essentially crash the enjoyment of the flow of this game's pacing like the alleged spark that set flame to the Hindenburg, but luckily this game is very consistently funny, thought-provoking, and outright wholesome. I went out of my way to interact with every single person I could. I listened to everything they said, and I did seriously question the decisions that this game posed to me, what ones I wanted to take, and which ones that I wanted to abandon. By the time I reached the end credits, I felt that special feeling you get when you realize that you're engaging with a story that will stick with you to some extent. I think that even if Sorry We're Closed only sticks with me for like a little while, it will be far more than a lot of games attempting to hit that same nerve have ever managed to accomplish. When you get to the brass tacks of everything, I think that in the end, what makes Sorry We're Closed a game worth experiencing is that it takes all of these mechanical tropes from a game like Silent Hill and tweaks them in a way that adds so much flair to them, that sort of de-emphasis of the survival horror, and makes you remember that it's a game. And you can still have those ideas and those systems, but still have something that breathes new life into old bones. But more than that, Sorry We're Closed is, even despite its overt sensual sexuality and overt lustiness, deep down, it is just a game about love. And if you're someone like me who kind of finds all that other stuff sort of appalling, is one way to put it, you can still find some sort of tangential connection with that feeling of love. We all want to be loved in one way or another, and Sorry We're Closed is all about those connections that we have with people, sexual or on a platonic level, and tells you to fight for those things in your life, because not only do we want them, we need them in order to stay strong. Throughout my journey in this game as Michelle, I gained new friends. I discovered things that made her a stronger person, and in the end, I decided that growing was a better decision than being stuck in the past. Love is not only a driving force of this game's narrative, but to us. And I think that in times like these, where so many people around the world, and especially here in the United States, are sort of in a time of crisis over what might happen because they might love a certain person, or might want to express themselves in a very certain way, I think that there is no better time for a game like Sorry We're Closed to come out. Fuck it, you know? You be you. Love who you love. Be who you are. Whether it's a demon, an angel, a human, or anything else in between. Yo, this gay Silent Hill got me fiending.
Tomato is a fruit, but it also a vegetable.
Oh. Oh, look, it's the little... There he is!
Oh, there he is!